Good afternoon everyone. Myself Sonali Tambe from Department of Pharmacology. Today we are going to discuss pharmacokinetic and their related calculations. First we will see what is pharmacokinetic. Pharmacokinetic means movement of drug within the body. Okay, it deals with absorption, distribution, metabolism and excretion of drug. Already you have learned what is absorption, what is distribution, what is metabolism and what is excretion of drug. Okay, so pharmacokinetic covers all aspect relating to what the body does to the drug. Okay, pharmacokinetics means movement of drug within the body. It includes absorption, distribution, metabolism and excretion of drug. Now what is absorption and viability? Okay, absorption is the movement of drug into the bloodstream from its sites of administration. Okay, what is absorption? The movement of drug from the site of administration into the bloodstream, that is known as absorption. Okay, then what is viability? Viability, it is a fraction of drug that reaches systemic circulation from a given dose. Okay, intravenous route of drug administration gives 100% viability because it directly enters into the systemic circulation. There are number of factors which affect on absorption of drug and viability. Okay, that factor we have already discussed in previous practical. Okay, disintegration time is one such factor that affect absorption of drug. Okay, what is disintegration time? Disintegration time is the time taken for the formulation for tablet or capsule to break into small particles. Okay, it is the time taken for the drug in the drug product to disintegrate into solid small drug particles and its subsequent release before absorption. That is a disintegration time. This is a disintegration test apparatus. With the help of this apparatus we can find out the disintegration time of tablets. Okay, now we will see how this will work. Okay, in disintegration test, first you have to keep the test tablet in the wire basket of apparatus. Okay, then the wire basket will oscillate up and down in the beaker. Okay, this beaker contain distilled water. Okay, we have to maintain the temperature of distilled water at 37 degrees Celsius. After some time, wire basket will empty. There are no tablet fragment in the basket. Okay, then we can note down the time between starting the apparatus and the time when there are no tablet fragment in the basket. Okay, that is the disintegration time of test tablet. Okay, so this is about disintegration test apparatus. Now we will see the problem related with disintegration time. This is the first exercise in pharmacokinetic. Okay, 5 tablets in bracket formulation of 2 manufacturers. Okay, of an analgesic, each tablet of 500 mg are given. Compare the disintegration time of both. Comment on the same. Disintegration time for tablet A is within a minute and tablet B is 10 minutes. Okay, so here we have 5 tablets with 2 brands. Each tablet contains 500 mg of drug. Okay, then all tablets are analgesic. Tablet A disintegrate within a minute while tablet B disintegrate in 10 minutes. Now which tablet will disintegrate rapidly and have quick onset of action? So here tablet A has disintegration time 1 minute while tablet B has disintegration time 10 minutes. So tablet A disintegrate rapidly as compared to tablet B, right? And tablet A will have rapid onset of action than tablet B because tablet A rapidly disintegrate, right? Now the answer is the disintegration time of tablet A is 1 minute while for tablet B is 10 minutes. Tablet A disintegrate rapidly compared to tablet B. The onset of effect with tablet A will be rapid. So this is the answer for exercise first. Now this is a second exercise. Calculate apparent volume of distribution of the drug if dose of drug administered IV is 600 milligram and plasma concentration of drug is 50 milligram per liter. Okay, so here this problem is related with volume of distribution. First we will see what is distribution. Distribution is a movement of drug molecule from the blood into the tissue. Okay, what is distribution? Distribution is a movement of drug molecule from the blood into the tissue. After absorption of drug enters into the systemic circulation and distributed in the body fluids. Here 600 milligram IV dose of a drug is administered and the plasma concentration of drug is 50 milligram per liter. Then how will you calculate apparent volume of distribution? There is a formula for calculating apparent volume of distribution. Okay, apparent volume of distribution is equal to total amount of drug in the body divided by concentration of the drug in the plasma. So with the help of this formula we can calculate apparent volume of distribution of drug. So this is a formula for volume of distribution. Volume of distribution is equal to amount of drug in the body divided by concentration of drug in the plasma. Okay, here 600 milligram of drug which is present in the body. Okay, and 50 milligram per liter of plasma concentration of drug. Then we get 12 liter. 12 liter is the apparent volume of distribution of drug. So this is the answer for this exercise. Volume of distribution is equal to 12 liter. Then exercise number 5. What will be the volume of distribution of digoxin if 500 microgram of glycoside were in the body of 70 kg subject with plasma concentration of 0.75 nanogram per ml. Okay, so this is the another problem which is related with volume of distribution. Okay, here 500 microgram of glycoside which is present in the body and its plasma concentration is 0.75 nanogram per ml. Now we will use the formula of volume of distribution. Volume of distribution is equal to amount of drug in the body divided by plasma concentration of drug. So this is the formula for apparent volume of distribution. Apparent volume of distribution is equal to amount of drug in the body divided by plasma concentration of drug. Here 500 microgram is the drug which is present in the body and 0.75 nanogram per ml is the plasma concentration of digoxin. Okay. Now we will convert 500 microgram into nanogram. We know that 1 kilogram is equal to 1000 gram. 1 gram is equal to 1000 milligram. 1 milligram is equal to 1000 microgram. And 1 microgram is equal to 1000 nanogram. So here 500 is multiplied by 1000. Then we will get 500,000. Okay. Now we will remove decimal point. Okay. So here 500,000 is multiplied by 100 and 0.75 also multiplied by 100. Then we will get 50 millions. Okay. 50 millions divided by 75. After division we will get 6,66,666.66 milliliter. Okay, so here volume of distribution always measure in liter. So here milliliter is converted into liter. So here we will divided by this quantity by 1000. 6,66,666.66 ml is divided by 1000. Then we get apparent volume of distribution, that is 666.67 liter. So this is the apparent volume of distribution of digoxin, 666.67 liter. Then exercise number 3. A male patient of congestive cardiac failure was well controlled on 2 tablets. Each tablet contained 0.25 milligram of digoxin, okay, which is manufactured by company A. Later on, because of non-availability of digoxin tablet of company A, he was put on digoxin 0.25 milligram by company B, which in its promotional literature had claimed better viability for their products. Okay, 2 weeks later, the patient started complaining of anorexia, nausea and vomiting. His pulse rate was 54 per minute. Explain why patient has developed GIT symptoms and bradycardia. So this problem is related with bioequivalent and viability. First we will discuss what is bioequivalence. Bioequivalence, it is a concept which is based on viability. Okay. Same drug is made available by different manufacturers, by different forms, by different brand names, etc. Same drug is made available in different tablet formulation, by different capsule formulation, and hence you have a question whether all the brands are equal or different. Okay, and you have a question whether they are produce same therapeutic effect or different effect. So for that purpose, there are types of equivalences are developed. There are 2 types of equivalences: chemical equivalence and bioequivalence. First one is chemical equivalence. What is chemical equivalence? Chemical equivalence means they are chemically similar. They are chemically same. Chemical equivalence means, for example, 2 tablet formulation each contain ibuprofen 500 milligram. They are called as chemically equivalent. Or 1 tablet containing 500 milligram of ibuprofen and suspension containing 500 milligram of ibuprofen in 10 ml, they are also considered as chemically equivalence. Means here the chemical equivalence is based upon the content and the amount of drug only. Okay, that means when same drug in same amount, when it is present in 2 or more product, all those product can be considered as chemically equivalent. Okay, when same drug in same amount, when it is present in 2 or more products, all those products can be considered as chemically equivalent. But the chemical equivalences do not guarantee the therapeutic effect. Okay, there may be the change in therapeutic effect in 2 formulations. Then another type is bioequivalence. Bioequivalence means they are biologically same. Okay, biologically equivalence means, bioequivalence means 2 formulation contain equal amount of drug. When they are administered to the biological system, they will produce same plasma concentration profile or they have same viability. They are known as bioequivalence. Okay, so bioequivalence means 2 formulation contain equal amount of drug. When these 2 formulations are administered to the biological system, they will produce same plasma concentration profile or they have same viability. They are known as bioequivalent. Then viability. What is viability? It is the fraction of drug that reaches systemic circulation from a given dose, that is called as viability. Okay, it is a fraction of drug that reaches systemic circulation from a given dose, that is called as viability. In this problem, here 2 brands of digoxin. Each tablet contain equal amount of drug, that is 0.25 milligram of digoxin. That means they are chemically equivalent. Here In this problem, here is the CHF patient. His congestive cardiac failure was well controlled by brand A, which contained 0.25 milligram of digoxin. But non-availability of brand A, patient was put on brand B, which also contained 0.25 milligram of digoxin. But both brands are chemically equivalent but biologically inequivalent. That means they have different plasma concentration profile or different bioavailability. Here brand B has better bioavailability than brand A. Okay, digoxin, it is a cardiac glycoside. Okay, it has narrow therapeutic index. So slightly increase in the plasma concentration of digoxin can cause severe adverse effect, right? So here brand B has better viability than brand A. That's why patient has developed GIT symptoms and bradycardia after taking brand B tablet of digoxin. So here you should remember that patient should be stabilized with on brand formulation, one brand formulation only. Okay, and that brand should never be changed unless change brand is bioequivalent. Okay, so this is the answer. It is patient started complaining of anorexia, nausea and vomiting due to the increased plasma concentration of digoxin. Now the answer is patient has developed GIT symptoms and bradycardia while he was put on digoxin 0.25 milligram by company B, because brand B has better viability than brand A. Both brands are pharmaceutically or chemically equivalent, means they contain equal amount of same active ingredient, that is 0.25 milligram of digoxin. But they are bio-inequivalent, that means they have different viability. Digoxin is a cardiac glycoside. It has narrow therapeutic index. Slightly increase in the plasma concentration of digoxin can cause severe adverse effect. Here brand B has better viability than brand A. That's why patient has developed GIT symptoms and bradycardia after taking brand B tablet of digoxin. Then fourth exercise, plot the plasma concentration time curve for two brands A and B of a hypnotic agent with the given data and answer the question given below giving reason. Minimum effective concentration is equal to 2 microgram per ml and minimum toxic concentration is equal to 4 microgram per ml. Okay, so this table showing different plasma concentration at different time of brand A and brand B. You have to plot the graph. You have to take plasma concentration on y-axis and time on x-axis. Minimum effective concentration is 2 microgram per ml and maximum toxic concentration is 4 microgram per ml. Now we got this graph. The first question is, which formulation would have an earlier onset of action and why? Okay, which formulation would have an earlier onset of action and why? Here formulation A has earlier onset of action because it achieves minimum effective concentration 2 microgram per ml at half an hour after drug administration. Okay, here formulation A has earlier onset of action because it achieves minimum effective concentration, that is 2 microgram per ml at half an hour after drug administration, while B achieve minimum effective concentration 2 microgram per ml at 2 hours after drug administration. So drug has earlier onset of action. So this is the answer for question number A. Then second question is, which one can be toxic and why? Here formulation A can be toxic because it achieves plasma concentration 6 microgram per ml. Here we can see the plasma concentration of brand A. It achieved plasma concentration 6 microgram per ml, which is higher than minimum toxic concentration, while brand B achieved plasma concentration 3.5 microgram per ml, which is within the therapeutic range. Okay, formulation A can be toxic because it achieved plasma concentration 6 microgram per ml, which is higher than minimum toxic concentration, while brand B, it achieved plasma concentration 3.5 microgram per ml, which is within the therapeutic range. What do you mean by therapeutic range? Therapeutic range means it is a range between minimum effective concentration and minimum toxic concentration. Here minimum effective concentration is 2 microgram per ml and minimum toxic concentration is 4 microgram per ml. Okay, so here formulation A can be toxic because it achieves plasma concentration 6 microgram per ml, which is higher than minimum toxic concentration. The next question is, which one is preferable for patient who complain of early awakening? Okay, so here both brand A and brand B are hypnotic agent. Both are hypnotic drugs. Okay, formulation B is preferable for patient who complain of early awakening because formulation B maintain plasma concentration about minimum effective level up to 10 hours. Here we can see the plasma concentration of brand B. It maintains plasma concentration about minimum effective level up to 10 hours after drug administration. The onset of action of brand B is slow, but it is not clinically important. Okay, so the answer is formulation B is preferable for the patient who complain of early awakening because formulation B maintain plasma concentration about the minimum effective level up to 10 hours after drug administration. So these are the answer for these questions. Now this is the answer for fourth exercise. Which formulation would have an earlier onset of action and why? Formulation A has earlier onset of action compared to B because it achieves minimum effective concentration of 2 microgram per ml at half hour after drug administration, while B achieves this plasma concentration at 2 hours after drug administration. So this is the answer for question number A. This is the answer for question number B. Which one can be toxic and why? Formulation A can be toxic because it achieves plasma concentration higher than the minimum toxic level, that is 4 microgram per ml, while formulation B achieves maximum concentration of 3.5 microgram per ml, which is within the therapeutic range. This is the answer for question number C. Which one is preferable for patient who complain of early awakening? Formulation B is preferable for patient who complain of early awakening because formulation B has the ability to maintain plasma concentration about the minimum effective level up to 10 hours after drug administration. Although the onset of action is delayed by hours, it will not important clinically because the patient does not have any difficulty in falling. So this is the answer for question number C. Then exercise number 6. Enumerate factor affecting volume of distribution. Okay. So these are the factors which affect volume of distribution. Plasma protein binding, drug reservoir and tissue storage, redistribution of drug, that is lipid solubility, and last factor is physiological barrier to the drug distribution. It includes blood-brain barrier and placental barrier. So this factor affect volume of distribution. Now how they will affect on volume of distribution? First factor is plasma protein binding. Okay, drug that are highly bound to plasma protein, they have low volume of distribution. Okay, highly bound, if the drug is highly bound to plasma protein, that means it has low volume of distribution. Then second point is drug reservoir and tissue binding. Okay, some drug accumulate in tissue or some organs of the body. For example, chloroquine and digoxin, they get accumulate in heart, liver, kidney. Okay, digoxin get accumulate in heart, liver, kidney, and chloroquine accumulated in liver, which can lead to toxicity because of high volume of distribution. Okay, so chloroquine and digoxin like drug, they are accumulate in tissue or some organ. This will lead to toxicity because of their high volume of distribution, right? Then third is lipid solubility. Highly lipid soluble drug have high volume of distribution. For example, thiopental sodium, it is a ultra short acting barbiturate. Okay, after giving IV injection of thiopental, it rapidly distributed in the body because of high lipid solubility. Okay, it enters into the brain, it rapidly enters into the brain within a minute and causing general anesthesia, because it is a ultra short acting barbiturate, it is a general anesthetic. Okay, it will produce general anesthesia within a minute, but because of high lipid solubility, it redistributed in muscle, lean tissue and fats. That's why its action get terminated within a minute. Okay, that is called as redistribution. So redistribution of drug also affect on volume of distribution. Okay, it is generally occur in lipid soluble drug. Example is thiopental. Thiopental, it is a barbiturate, it is ultra short acting barbiturate. It is redistributed in lean tissue, muscles and fats. Okay, and its action get terminated within a minute, while it redistributed in muscle, lean tissue and fats. The last factor is physiological barrier to the drug distribution. Blood-brain barrier and placental barrier. They also affect volume of distribution. Okay, lipid-soluble non-ionized drugs penetrate more easily to brain and placenta than water-soluble ionized form. Examples are hypnotics, general anesthetic, then cardiac glycoside. They can readily cross blood-brain barrier or placental barrier. They have high volume of distribution because they are lipid-soluble, non-ionized form. They penetrate more easily than water-soluble ionized form. Okay, so these are the factors which affect volume of distribution: plasma protein binding, drug reservoirs and tissue storage, redistribution of drug. It includes lipid solubility and physiological barriers like blood-brain barrier and placental barrier. Exercise number 7. Identify the drug interaction between aspirin and glibenclamide and write the possible clinical outcome. Okay, so here the drug interaction between aspirin and glibenclamide. Aspirin, it is an antiplatelet drug. It has analgesic, antipyretic, anti-inflammatory action because it inhibits prostaglandin synthesis. Then glibenclamide, it is an oral hypoglycemic agent. Okay, it increases insulin secretion. Okay, and the major adverse effect of glibenclamide is hypoglycemia because it is an oral hypoglycemic agent. That's why it can produce hypoglycemia. So here aspirin, here is the drug-drug interaction between aspirin and glibenclamide. This drug-drug interaction is occur due to the plasma protein binding. It is occur due to plasma protein binding. Here glibenclamide bind with plasma protein. and aspirin displaces glibenclamide from their plasma protein binding sites. So this will increase plasma concentration of glibenclamide. Because of increase in free form of glibenclamide in plasma will produce hypoglycemia. Now the answer is aspirin and glibenclamide drug interaction occur due to plasma protein binding of glibenclamide. Aspirin displaces glibenclamide from their plasma protein binding sites, which leads to increase in plasma concentration of glibenclamide, which result in hypoglycemia. So this is the answer for this exercise. Then exercise number 8. Epileptic patient well controlled on phenytoin sodium 100 mg BD brought a new strip of phenytoin tablet and he started showing nystagmus, ataxia and vertigo. What may be the reason for sudden occurrence of these symptoms? Here is the epileptic patient which is controlled on phenytoin sodium 100 mg BD. He brought new strip of phenytoin tablet. Then he started showing nystagmus, ataxia and vertigo. What may be the reason for the sudden occurrence of these symptoms? Here both tablet contain equal amount of drug. They are chemically equivalent but they cannot produce same therapeutic effect. Here patient has started nystagmus, ataxia and vertigo after taking new strip of phenytoin tablet. This adverse effect might be due to the excipient which is present in new tablet of phenytoin, because excipient is not totally inert substance. It can cause adverse effect to the patient. So here this nystagmus, ataxia and vertigo can occur due to the excipient which is present in new tablet of phenytoin. Now the answer is the previous tablet and the new tablet of phenytoin sodium which the patient was taking contain equal amount of drug. They are chemically equivalent but they cannot produce same therapeutic effect. Patient has started nystagmus, ataxia and vertigo after taking new strip of phenytoin tablet. This adverse effect might be due to the excipient which is present in new tablet of phenytoin. Excipient it is not totally inert substance. It can cause adverse effect to the patient. So this is the answer. Thank you.